WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. When someone is elected or appointed to a position of public responsibility, the people that put them there trust that they will do their jobs honestly. Sometimes that trust is broken. Recent cases are bringing public corruption into the spotlight. Our Quentin Smith speaks with an expert to look beyond the numbers. He joins us live in the studio with more. Quentin.
Scott, from clerks to law enforcement officers, even to state lawmakers, many of the people that we put our trust in sometimes abuse their power. In our area, Webster County is just the latest example of alleged public corruption.
Corruption is taking advantage of the opportunities provided by public service to enrich oneself.
The sheriff's saga taking place in Webster County is just the latest example of officials accused of abusing their power. Webster County Sheriff Tim Mitchell and investigator Landon Griffin were both recently arrested and now face multiple charges, including embezzlement and trafficking firearms.
We have situations like Webster County where, this is a story ready for, a movie plot. And it's tied up in greed and believing that somebody can get away with a lot just because they have political power.
According to the Attorney General's office, 21 elected officials have been convicted of corruption in the past 10 years. Since 2008, the state auditor's office tells us roughly 27 public officials and 3 agency heads have either been convicted or indicted on public corruption. That goes along with countless others who were fired or forced to resign due to being caught up in the misconduct.
Corporate America has seen plenty of examples of people on the take, if you want to put it that way. People being involved in bribery schemes where they essentially try to force through business with government or with other companies. But there's also charitable organizations that have corruption problems.
Corruption is a problem that's almost as old as government itself, and it often boils down to 2 traits: greed and selfishness. Political science professor Dr. Brian Anderson says it can also mean that something is missing in the system.
That's just telling us that there's not as much oversight as should be.
Anderson believes there should be an oversight board to monitor all officials and help ensure that no misconduct of any kind is taking place.
There are procedures, if they're set forward in a clear way, they become a matter of routine. And it reminds you that you have to mind the money and resources that you're in charge of, and not just consider them things that you can spend like your own money.
Now, the state auditor's office does not have the power to prosecute. Instead, it relies on the district attorney's office or attorney general's office to indict and prosecute those who are accused of public corruption. Scott?
Driving under the influence isn't exclusive to alcohol. As Courtney Ann Jackson explains, Mississippi's DUI laws allow someone on drugs to get hit with the same charges with the same penalties.
A DUI for something other than alcohol presents different challenges.
You can really only do alcohol through machine test right now on the side of the road. We don't have a portable breathalyzer for marijuana or for narcotic painkillers. Those just don't exist yet. The science isn't there.
That's defense attorney Matt Eichelberger, who says that's why DUI other cases are more difficult for the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Blood tests are not exceedingly common in a misdemeanor DUI. Often what you will see is you'll see an officer present his case to a judge based upon his observations, usually the smell of marijuana, pill bottle containing narcotics, something along those lines, some sort of other evidence besides just his observations, but nothing as concrete as a blood test.
While there is a legal limit for driving with alcohol in your system, there's a zero tolerance policy as it relates to drugs. As for the penalties, they're the same as if you were drinking, including the option to have the first offense non-adjudicated. In other words, keep it from going on your record.
However, with drug DUIs, DUI other, oftentimes there's repeated drug testing instead of breath testing. It wouldn't make any sense if someone was given DUI for, marijuana to not test them for marijuana to make sure they're staying clean and only test them for alcohol.
But cases like this one that involved a death did end up with a warrant for a blood sample, and that is when they discovered the presence of THC in the driver's system. She's now charged with DUI mayhem causing death. Eichelberger says blood tests are common in felony cases involving injury or death. Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
Time now to toss things over to meteorologist Jacob Dickey with a first look at our forecast. Hey there, Jacob.
Hey Scott, we've got some fog and low clouds out there, even a little bit of light drizzle. That will be the story for us tonight. Temperatures are in the low 50s across our area with the rain mostly moving out. Still though, a little bit of moisture at the surface. It's hard to see on radar. A lot of that moisture is just below where that radar beam is able to take a look. We can see it in the form of fog out there. Dense fog advisory continues as we go through the night. Tonight, patchy fog will continue through the morning hours with some isolated drizzle with temperatures in the 40s. Coming up, we've got some severe weather and some wintry weather to talk about. That and more in just a bit.
A 20-year-old suspect is denied bond in the Artesia triple homicide. Clark Allen Jr. is charged with capital murder and conspiracy to commit a felony. Our Jory Talley speaks with investigators and tells us what's next in the investigation.
Deputies have the suspect behind bars, but the investigation is far from over.
There's a lot of work that still need to be done. And it's like we were talking about last night. You know, we have evidence. We have physical evidence now that points us in the direction of this individual and the charges that we filed. But now the work begins.
20-year-old Clark Allen Jr. is facing capital murder and conspiracy to commit a drug-related felony.
We do believe that drugs are a factor in this case. We have not established motive at this time, but I do want to emphasize that we do believe that it does play a factor in it.
While investigators say drugs may have been involved, they are not confirming reports of gambling at the Mobile Drive home.
It is information that's been given to us. We are currently investigating that. However, I wouldn't want to comment exactly on what the going-ons are in that particular residence, but we're investigating any and all pieces of information we're getting.
Wright says Allen was a guest at the house the same day it turned into a crime scene, and that Allen is the person of interest investigators took into custody Tuesday. Information deputies received when they got to the scene led them to Allen.
Physical description, clothing, and things of that nature, plus it was just some other witness statements that we were able to get in the area once deputies had fanned out, and some sightings. We had sightings by a couple of individuals, and we just kind of went to that area where this was, and he was found.
Wright emphasizes that the investigation will take time, and he appreciates the residents' patience.
We want to do everything we can for the people of Artesia, just to let them know, hey, we're looking into this. We're wanting to, you know, get any and all information. We still want to look into it, but we owe it to the citizens of Artesia to find out exactly what happened.
Investigators will be back out tomorrow doing another search of the property. The Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks will be assisting the department.
We've got a wild ride in weather over the next 48 to 72 hours. Strong storms, breezy winds, winter air, and even the chance for flurries, all possible in our area. Those details coming up after the break.
First Alert AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Jacob Dickey.
Well, what you see outside is what we'll get outside for the rest of the night, seeing that patchy fog across our Alpha Insurance Skycam network. Temperatures also fairly mild. We're still in the low 50s, and I think we're going to stick very close to this. 52 in Amory and in Starkville, as well as in Tupelo, 53 in Macon. The lows tonight are generally looking towards the upper 40s to near 50, 47 in Columbus, 46 in Amory, 49 in Starkville, 45 in Pontotoc overnight tonight. We also have that dense fog advisory. That includes essentially all of our viewing area. Reduced visibility is going to be expected tonight into the morning hours, so in the Friday morning commute, be aware, have your headlights on, and take a little extra time out there with that dense fog. Through the day Friday, that dense fog really may hang on through late morning, maybe even into the lunch hour, and then we'll keep it mostly cloudy through the afternoon and evening. Don't expect to see a lot of sunshine. Still, though, with south winds, that's going to help our temperatures warm up into the low 60s for many of us. I've got 60 right in Columbus, West Point, and Amory, 62 in Macon and Louisville, just a tad cooler to the north, 59 in Tupelo, 57 in Corinth with that that mostly cloudy sky and southeast winds. We can blame the wind on this weather system coming our way here by Saturday morning, starting to see the warm sector, that warm air come in front of that low ahead of that cold front. That gives us a chance for some scattered showers and storms, some of which could be strong. And then by Saturday night, we're on the backside having to keep an eye on that band of flurries and snow for some of us as well. Let's go ahead and break down the threats for you, starting with Saturday. The severe threat here is marginal risk right now as of tonight. That's from the Storm Prediction Center. That's a level 1 out of 5, very standard low risk. But the threat is there from 4 a.m. on Saturday until noon on Saturday. Damaging winds will be the main threat with any stronger storms. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado. That threat, though, looking fairly low as of now. We'll keep you updated. Maybe a little bit of hail. The flash flooding, though, that's something that I want to talk about here. Some spots could see 1 to 2 inches, and if we get that rain, seeing some of that heavier rain we've seen earlier this month, indeed, flash flooding could be a threat for parts of our area. Let's take Futurecast here starting Friday night, seeing a mostly cloudy sky. By about midnight, then, off to our south and to our west, showers and thunderstorms rolling on in. These are non-severe. The severe storms will hold off until later, earlier in Saturday morning here. So 6 a.m. I think some of these could be on the strong to severe side, and they quickly push off to the east by 9 a.m. Even lunch hour, we're clearing things out. Northwest winds then kick in and bring in much cooler air that could be 10 to 20 miles an hour. And if we look here, we'll have to watch and see if we can't get a little wintry mix in there. The Futurecast has been back and forth on that. I do not expect any accumulation and no impacts from that. Cold air is coming down, so that's the reason we have to watch for this here with that cold air in place. Look at the Futurecast feels like here. So we're in the 60s Saturday morning. Look at those temperatures ahead of the front there. Feeling very warm out there, warm and muggy. When that front blows on through, then temperatures drop like a rock. We will feel like the 30s and 40s on Saturday. Saturday night, the wind chill will be in the teens and the 20s. As far as the next 7 days, then, we're going to focus mainly on Friday, Saturday. Again, catch those full forecasts online, and we'll keep you updated. Sunday, cold. Another chance for rain and storm systems Tuesday into Wednesday.
Welcome back. Age, medication, and even alcohol use can increase your chances of hypothermia, but it can be prevented. We learn more in our Health Talk with Baptist.
It is important to act quickly if you suspect that you or someone else has the signs and symptoms of hypothermia. Get to a warm, sheltered area, remove any wet clothing, use an electric blanket to warm the core of the body first. Chest, neck, head, and groin, the areas of major heat loss. If no electric blanket is available, use skin-to-skin contact under loose blankets or towels. Give warm beverages to drink. Do not give alcoholic beverages. If the person is semi-conscious or worse, try to keep him or her awake and talking. Get medical attention as soon as possible at the nearest hospital emergency room. At the hospital, treatment involves a slow heating of the body using blankets or other means of increasing body warmth. Of course, it is always best to prevent hypothermia. If you are planning to spend time outside, wear the right clothing, including a hat, scarf, and gloves. Wear several layers of loose-fitting clothing, including a wind-resistant outer layer and water-resistant coat and shoes. Go inside when you are shivering or if you are wet. Do not drink alcohol. Eat well-balanced meals and stay hydrated. Take special precautions with elderly people and babies. If rooms are not kept warm enough, the elderly and babies can be affected by hypothermia even if they remain indoors. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
It's a brand new face for the Louisville Wildcats, but it's also a familiar one. MC Miller's replacement addresses his brand new football team. More on that coming up next in sports.
CBI Sports with Courtney Robb.
It's been 2 days since the approval of Tyrone Shorter to replace MC Miller became official. And now it's become officially official. Louisville welcomed the brand new head coach at the high school earlier this afternoon. During that time, the Port Gibson native was able to visit with his new team. Shorter joins the Wildcats after coming from Noxubee County, where he first worked under former Louisville head coach MC Miller. And the whole experience has him excited to be a part of such a successful program.
By playing against Louisville for 20 years, I know the type of kids are here. You know, the same type of kids in Noxubee County. You know, they winners. They know how to win. And it showed this past December they won the championship. But the opportunity, I think, you know, the opportunity that was presented to me, and I just thought it was a great opportunity for me and my family.
The MUW men taking on Selma earlier tonight, looking for another win in the first half. The Owls ball off the tip. Trey Pixton comes off the pick and swings it to Tavonta Jones, who drains the one dribble pull-up three, and the Owls would get back to it. Clark passes to Williams, who finds Josh Skinner for three. He's cashing out, and the Owls stay ahead. Still in the first half, Pinkston passes to Harris, who shoots the jumper with no hesitation, drains it, no Drano to keep the Owls up. Later in the first half, Keith Harris comes off the pick, hesitation, dribbles and drives hard to the rack for the finish, and the Owls would lead by 4. And then before the end of the half, pick pop action between Pinkston and DJ Clark, who hits another three-pointer. The Owls would go on to win tonight's game with a final of 86-80. And then the women also looking for a win after a loss the other night. We'll jump right into the third quarter. The Lady Owls up 8. Walton passes to Autumn Taylor, who entry passes to Kiana Jones, finishes with the hook shot, and later in the third, Walton passes to Keon Bailey, who takes the contact and scores right off of the glass. And then still in the third, the loose ball gets recovered by Sterlandria Walton, goes coast to coast, the spin move, and with the and one finish, the Owls would be up by as much as 10. And then the Owls on the break. Taylor outlet passes to Bailey, who finds Tiziana Hinkston with the touch pass. The Lady Owls would go on to get a big win tonight, the final score of 80-59. Speaking of big wins, Tierra McCowan and the Bulldogs taking on Don Staley's Gamecocks tonight. After Chloe Bibby went down with an injury in the first, Breamber Scott stepped up big time. An example, the off-balance shot for 2 right there. And then out in transition, Jordan Danbury finds Scott in the corner, putting on for Chloe the right way. A big 3 has Mississippi State leading in the game early. Now in the second, Scott misses on the drive, but Big T battling below, not once, but twice, plus the contact and 1. It was a big night coming up for Tierra McCowan. Mississippi State getting big contribution from the bench. Maya Taylor puts the defender on skates, rip right to the cup for the pretty finish there. And the Gamecocks, though, they weren't going anywhere. In fact, the clock ticking for Taya Cooper gets the 3 to go right at the buzzer. The Bulldogs would head into halftime leading by 5. And then they'd come out in the third quarter. South Carolina right back in it. Cooper finds Tasha Harris for the 3. South Carolina makes it a 3-point ball game with that shot. And then the defense ramps up for the Dogs. Scott with the steal, and then later the finish. Then Cooper's going to try and score in McCowan's house, but McCowan says, listen, it ain't happening today. Denied. A huge block from her. And then the Gamecocks would still be hanging around, not stopping yet. Cooper does it again. A buzzer-beating 3 at the end of the third quarter. But then the fourth would belong to the Bulldogs. Winning time here, Jordan Danbury driving. The kick to Andra Espinoza-Hunter for a huge 3. And then leave it to the senior to do the rest. Jazz Holmes lobs it to Tierra McCowan for a beautiful finish. And then the icing on the cake would be right here. Holmes' 1 dribble jumper, the money shot. The Bulldogs go on to outscore South Carolina 24-10 in the fourth. And they take the outright lead in the SEC with the 89-74 victory.
That's a big moment. It's a big game in our league. It's an incredible crowd on a national stage. That's a big moment. And you're putting kids in that moment, and I've told y'all I have had to be really careful trying to just build them up, build them into when they can come in and do what they did tonight.
I had a lot going into the game, and I knew that my teammates were going to come inside. And then when Chloe went down, I knew, like, my teammates needed me extra. You know, I just wanted to pick up the slack that Chloe was lacking off. Not saying that nobody else was going to pick it up, but I just stood up.
I mean, a win in the SEC is a good win. So, I mean, we just have to come out and play our game every night. And if we don't, we'll get embarrassed. So I think us going forward, we need to take every game as serious as any other game.
That's it for sports. We'll have your last look coming up after the break. Stick with us.
Well, you can look at the 7-day forecast and take it for what it's worth, but honestly, the best thing to do is to go to our website to get the full forecast. Saturday, we start in the 60s. We end up feeling like the teens and 20s by Saturday night. Get that full forecast online, and I'll tell you what, don't trust that crap app on your phone. Get our forecast.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one.